Greetings, everyone, and welcome to a special Comic Book Wednesday Blu-ray update. Yeah, I got a stack of new movies for the comic book movie collection, mostly animated. There's, I think, one live-action one. The rest are all animated. But, I was starting to fall behind on a couple little collections, so I thought it was about time I got up to date. By the way, if you're hearing the fan, it's because the fan is right here. Hello. Welcome to the Multimedia Chronicles. Alright. Anyway, just coming out of a heat wave. Temperatures, a little better than it was a week ago. But the humidity is just unbearable. Ugh. Have I mentioned before how much I despise the summer? Yeah, I'm a spring and fall guy. And winter. Basically anything but summer. But especially fall and winter. Fall and winter are my jam. Summer is just too damn hot. Anyway, I'm keeping the fan right there to keep me cool so I can film this video for you. Alrighty. New comic book movies. Well, animated movies. Mostly animated movies. And a live action movie. Today, on Comic Book Wednesday, on the Multimedia Chronicles. Welcome back. Alrighty, so first up, this is one that I was kind of holding back getting because I heard while it was being made that a bunch of stuff was cut out, so I thought, oh, maybe I should wait and see if we get an unrated cut. Well, apparently there's no unrated cut coming, so we're just stuck with the PG-13 cut. That said, I've heard the PG-13 cut is quite good, and it's quite a fun movie. There's also a second one coming out. I saw the trailer for the second one. I thought it looked like a lot of fun. I was like, yeah, I should probably stop putting that off and get the first one. I'm, of course, talking about Venom, starring Tom Hardy, Mad Max himself. Yes, there we go. Very nice. Plus, this has been out for a while, so it's really cheap now. Yeah, I love how Sony, much like the other major studios used to do before they got bought out by Disney, well, they didn't buy all of them, but you know what I mean, such as Fox, for example. It used to be when a movie was out for a while, it would go down in price, so it would be cheaper. Yeah, Disney doesn't do that with their movies or anything that they own. So all those Fox movies they bought aren't cheap anymore. And never will be, ever again. In fact, most of them have been moved over to the Disney Movie Club, so you can't even get them in stores anymore, unless you're getting, leftover stock from before the buyout. Anyway, enough about that. I finally picked up Venom. Haven't watched it yet, but I've heard it's a lot of fun. Everybody's been saying, dude, you gotta check out Venom. So, I got Venom. I gotta be honest, I was never a big fan of Venom as a comic book character. I know, blasphemy, right? Everybody loves Venom. Well, I don't know. I think it's because when Venom came out, it was around the time that I was kind of moving away from collecting comics at the time, like the early to mid-90s. I got a few Venom comics, like Lethal Protector, for example. I got all of those, and which I think is kind of what the movies are inspired by, more like Venom trying to be a superhero, but kind of screwing it up a lot. And hilarity ensues. But, I wasn't really particularly enamored with the character. I thought some aspects of it were interesting. I guess the psychological aspects of the two personalities clashing and trying to reconcile and live with each other. But, I don't know, it just never really grabbed me. I think it was just a little bit after my time, so I didn't really latch on to it. But a lot of people grew up with the Venom character and are thrilled that they're, doing Venom movies now and stuff like that. So, I don't know, I'm sure it'll be fine. I'm sure I'll enjoy it. And we're starting to see a trickling of more stuff from Sony's Spider Villains universe and whatnot, so it'll be interesting to kind of see where things go with that. Next up, that's actually it for the Marvel stuff. The rest is DC, hence the Batman shirt. As you know, I've been collecting the DC direct-to-video animated movies for a very long time. I've got the vast majority of them. I'm missing a couple of the earlier ones that I used to have and I need to get again, but of course they're out of print, and some of them are expensive, so I don't know how likely that'll be. We'll see what happens. But anyway, there was a lot of the recent ones from the past year or so that I just hadn't picked up yet because I was just focusing on other aspects of the collection, like mainly stuff for the horror collection and whatnot, in preparation for this year's big Halloween celebration. Yeah, did you know this year is the 13th year in a row I've done a big Halloween celebration on my YouTube channel? Yeah, so needless to say, looking to make it a special one. Stay tuned. Anyway, what did I get? Well, first up, picked up Batman, Death in the Family, which of course is based on the 4-part story arc from back in the 80s. I used to have the first 2 parts of that, and then I wasn't able to find the remaining parts because they sold out very quickly. I did eventually pick up a trade paperback edition of the full story. So this is, of course, a pretty big notable story. This is the infamous one where Robin dies. Spoiler, yeah. Which was a pretty big deal in the comics at the time. So when the original story came out, they did the first 2 parts, and then they had a phone number that you could call, which would determine Robin's fate. Now this was the Jason Todd Robin, which a lot of fans didn't really like. They didn't think he was a very good character, and well, they all voted for him to die. So basically you could call this phone number and vote for whether or not Robin would survive or not. So interesting to note, back when they made the comics, they actually produced both issues, but they were only going to publish the one that the viewer or the readers voted for. So the votes came in, the tally was in favor of Robin biting the bullet, so that was the version that got published. Now, the interesting thing is, what they did with this movie adaptation, this animated adaptation, is they made it as a kind of a choose-your-own-adventure thing. So it gets to that point in the story, and then you have not 1, not 2, but 3 choices for possible outcomes of the story. Now, one of them is Robin dies, which is straight out of the comics, but you also have the alternate choice of Robin surviving. And then you have a third choice that they gave, actually. So you've got 3 choices. Robin dies, Robin cheats death, so he manages to survive, or Batman saves Robin. So there's 3 different possible outcomes in this version, which is pretty cool. Now, given that the story is quite short, they adapted it as, it runs 18 to 31 minutes, depending on which choice you make. This is kind of like the old Shazam versus Black Adam Blu-ray that came out a number of years ago, which is one of the ones I need to reacquire, where they had a series of shorts. So they had kind of the main feature, which is, a half an hour, and then they had a bunch of shorts with it. So they did the same thing with this. So it has 4 additional shorts, one featuring Sergeant Rock, one featuring Adam Strange, one featuring the Phantom Stranger, and one featuring Death from the pages of Sandman. So very cool, very nice little collection there. So looking forward to checking all of those out. Next up, we picked up Deathstroke, Knights and Dragons, the movie. Yeah, it's kind of funny. The first thing, Rosie likes to take a look at whatever new Blu-rays I get and see if there's anything of interest to her. So I showed her this one, and the first thing she said was, "He looks like Deadpool." And yes, he does. And, well, Deadpool, as you know, is a master assassin, very wisecracking and, kind of tongue-in-cheek. The fourth wall-breaking stuff didn't come till later, but that's kind of become part of the character that we all know. And his real name is Wade Wilson. Well, Deathstroke is a master assassin, kind of wisecracking, and his real name is Slade Wilson. Now, before you scream rip-off, apparently Deadpool was originally made as a pretty direct parody of Deathstroke. So, yeah, hence the similarities, and kind of similarities in costumes, too. But anyway, I'm not overly familiar with Deathstroke. I know a little bit about him from watching the first couple seasons of Arrow back when it started. He featured pretty heavily in Season 2, when he got like a pretty lengthy origin story for him. So I know the character a little bit from that, but I've never really read any of his comic stories or anything. So, yeah, so this should be pretty interesting to check out. And, yeah, very cool. And pretty badass cover, too. I like that. Next up, we have Superman, Man of Tomorrow. And I should mention, I got the slipcover here. Same with this one. It's the same artwork inside, though. Yeah, in the past, I've really sung the praises of DC's slipcovers on these Blu-ray sets because they were always nice and shiny and textured and, you know, embossed and bumpy. They're not bumpy anymore. They're kind of starting to cheap out a little bit with them, unfortunately. I mean, I'm just glad that we're still getting them on physical media because a lot of the Marvel stuff that Disney's been putting out, there's no discs in sight. It's like all being shoved over to Disney Plus, and us physical media collectors can just get stuffed, apparently. So, yeah, it's kind of disappointing. So I'm glad to see that Warner Brothers, who owns DC, is still putting everything out on physical media, which is great for us collectors. So I imagine the DC collection is going to outgrow the Marvel collection after a certain point in time because they're just putting out more product in physical form. So anyway, this is Superman, Man of Tomorrow. Got a couple of shorts on here. You got Lobo, Natural Force of Chaos, Martian Manhunter, Lost and Found. I think, are they just characters in the story? I haven't watched the story yet, so I don't know. But I think those are shorts, actually. But anyway, so it's nice to see they're bringing the shorts back, which is something that they have not had for a very long time. Next up, we have Batman, Soul of the Dragon. Hey, look, finally, something Batman. Yeah, very cool. So this is essentially Batman goes to Japan and does Batman-y things in Japan. So, yeah, looking forward to this one. We've got a bunch of special features on here. Most of these also have, much like they have in the past, have bonus cartoons that kind of tie in a little bit. Might be an episode of Batman the Animated Series. Sometimes might be an episode of Superman the Animated Series. But great stuff. These are very nicely loaded little sets. So this one is a little bit shiny. I don't know how well you can see that. But yeah, very nice. Again, same artwork inside. But, again, no embossing, so that's that. That's okay. And finally, last but most certainly not least, this is one of the few cases where I actually pre-ordered a title, because not that I felt it would be difficult to get, but I just didn't want to wait. And then I decided to wait for Part 2 to come out. We got Batman, The Long Halloween, Part 1. Yeah, I just recently picked up the graphic novel of this, well, recently, like within the past 5 years, and read it for the first time, really liked it a lot. And I always thought, you know, if they do an adaptation of that, like an animated adaptation of that, I really hope they do it as a two-parter, because it's such a huge, you know, complex story. It really could use the extra running time to let it breathe. And sure enough, two-parter right here. So this is part 1. Part 2, I think, is coming out in August. They're really not wasting any time on that, so I'll be grabbing that as soon as it comes out. And then I'll just watch the double bill of both parts. So, again, same thing here. Now, I should mention, what's this here? Yeah, this one doesn't really have much in the way of extras. It's just got, oh no, it has another short. It has a DC Showcase short, The Losers. Do these ones have any shorts? I don't think they did. Yeah, no, these ones don't have any, doesn't have a short. But that's pretty cool. As I say, it's nice to see a return to the shorts. Now, I wanted to show you something here. If you take a look at the spines, you may notice the pictures there are forming the DC logo. I don't know if it's going to spell like DC Universe of Awesomeness across the next 500 releases, but, you know, you can see I'm missing one, which annoys. When I first discovered that about the spines, I was like, oh shit, I'm missing one. And the one I'm missing is Justice Society, World War II. So that's obviously going to be pretty high on the priority list. So that goes between these two to form the rest of the letter C. And then you get the full DC. But as you can see, it actually it continues the artwork right across. It's just kind of cool. I don't know how in focus that was. But the only thing I don't like about that is, like, yeah, it's cool. You kind of have a mural that slowly builds across the spines. But I don't necessarily put all these chronologically. Now, I did with the DC Universe ones, where they were actually doing some kind of continuity between them. But they've stopped doing that. They're back to doing individual standalone movies now. So, the way I like to organize them is I usually put all the Batman ones kind of together in their own section, and the Superman ones together in their own section. I don't know, it's just... So now I'm going to be torn. Like, do I want to just keep it organized the way I like to organize it, or do I want to have the DC logo mural nice and uniform across it? I don't know. Anyway, that's it for this week's update. So, getting up to date on the DC Universe, or the DC animated movies collection. Finally got Venom. Definitely going to pick up Justice Society. A couple others that I want to pick up fairly soon. I really want to get seasons 1 and 2 of Harley Quinn that came out recently on Blu-ray. I'd really like to get off my butt and get the Constantine live-action series. That's one I've been waffling on for ages. Just haven't picked it up. So, I don't know, there's a few things. There's a lot of the animated shows as well that I still don't have, such as Young Justice, Legion of Superheroes, the Batman Beyond Blu-ray set. Yeah, and before anyone asks me about the Arrowverse, yeah, I did watch the first couple seasons and a little bit of The Flash. I did watch some of the crossover stories, like, what was it? Crisis on Infinite Earths, and the one that came before it, the year before. I forget what it was now, but I really like those, and I'd love to sit down and watch all of them, but it's just such a massive time commitment. Like, it's literally just a completely overwhelming amount of content across that whole connected universe of shows. Because, I mean, you've got, what? You got Arrow, you've got The Flash, you've got Legends of Tomorrow, you've got Supergirl, you got Lois and Superman, you got Stargirl. I have watched some of Titans. I really liked Titans. I'd like to watch more of that, and I know that connects up with Doom Patrol, and they're all technically in the Arrowverse as well. Well, actually, technically speaking, everything is in the Arrowverse. It's all connected because of the whole multiverse thing. And I kind of like how they did that. Like with the Crisis on Infinite Earths, how they showed how all the different universes and all the different movies and TV shows are connected. Which fits in perfectly with the way the comics are done, too. It's all connected. It's all different Earths. Marvel does the same thing. They all have their own specific Earths for different things, and, it's neat. I like that. It's sort of like things can be... It gives you a lot of freedom as a reader or as a viewer to kind of pick and choose what you want to consider your own personal canon. Like, for example, speaking of Batman... I think we all kind of have our own head canon of things that we kind of connect together. So for me, for example, I like to connect Batman Year One, Death in the Family, Under the Red Hood, The Killing Joke, and The Dark Knight Returns. So it's kind of like a condensed life story of Batman. I guess Killing Joke would be after Year One. But anyway, you know what I mean. Like, it's sort of like, these are all little snapshots of significant moments in Batman's life, ending with the whole story of The Dark Knight Returns, which kind of ends things, but also is a bit of a new beginning. And, yeah. And then even before all of these interconnected cinematic universes and TV universes, back in the day, we had Batman the Animated Series, which connected to Superman the Animated Series, and Justice League, and Justice League Unlimited, Batman Beyond, and then from there you also had... the Zeta Project, which spun off from Batman Beyond. You had Static Shock. So, yeah, I'd like to get the rest of those that I don't have as well. But there's just so much. So much. So it's funny. It's like I complain that Marvel isn't putting out all their stuff. But then I also complain that DC's putting out too much stuff. So I guess as a collector, we just got to pick and choose what our priorities are, Like, you don't have to leave me big, long comments about all the things I don't have. I am quite aware of what I do and don't have. Thank you very much. It's just a matter of picking and choosing what the priorities are. So for me, the priorities have been these feature-length adaptations of, famous story arcs from the comics. And then beyond that, well, we'll get what I get when I get it. Anyway, that is it for this week's update. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks very much for watching. Big thanks to my Patreon sponsors. Be sure to catch me on Twitch. I stream just about every day, and I will see you next time. Also, if you'd like to add any of these to your collection, as always, I will include Amazon links in the description. I do get a little kickback for that, which they pay me in the form of gift cards so that I can buy more stuff to do updates and reviews for you. So thank you very, very much to those of you who use my Amazon links because, well, you're very directly supporting the show and doesn't cost you any extra. If you're shopping on Amazon, hey, consider, clicking on one of my links and then a few pennies get sent my way. So thank you very much for those of you who do that. Anyway, see you next time. Till then, sayonara.